The night she was thrown out of her own home, the rain felt like it was trying to erase her existence, washing away every dream she had ever dared to hold. Her suitcase lay open on the pavement, clothes soaked, memories heavier than the storm, while the door behind her stayed shut with a finality that echoed louder than thunder. In that moment, she understood how quickly love could turn conditional, how a woman could be reduced to what her body failed to do rather than who her heart had always been. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that heal broken places, please take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Diaries. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. She had been married for 7 years, years filled with silent prayers whispered into pillows and hopeful smiles painted over disappointment. Doctors' offices became familiar, the smell of antiseptic blending with crushed optimism, each visit ending with gentle headshakes and words that sounded kind but landed like stones. Her husband's patience wore thin as relatives asked questions during festivals and neighbors offered unsolicited advice. Slowly, affection turned into resentment, and love became a transaction tied to expectations she could never fulfill. On the night he finally pushed her out, infertility was spoken of not as a medical condition but as a moral failure, a reason sufficient enough to discard a woman like an object that no longer served its purpose. She walked until her legs trembled, finding refuge on a bus bench under a flickering streetlight. The city continued breathing around her, indifferent and loud, while her world collapsed quietly. With little money and nowhere to go, she took a job cleaning offices at night, working when others slept so she would not have to face their curious stares. Each wipe of the glass tables reflected a woman she barely recognized, thinner, quieter, carrying shame that was never hers to bear. Yet somewhere deep inside, a fragile ember of dignity refused to die, insisting that survival itself was an act of rebellion. Months passed in this half-life, until one morning blurred into the next without significance. Then, on a day that seemed ordinary enough, fate shifted its weight. She was assigned to clean the upper floors of a towering corporate building, the kind she had only ever admired from the outside. The offices were immaculate, cold, and silent, symbols of success that felt far removed from her reality. As she worked methodically, she noticed traces of humanity among the polished surfaces, a child's drawing pinned near a desk, a forgotten toy car tucked beneath a cabinet. These small signs of life softened the space, making it feel less intimidating and more human. The man who owned that office was known across the industry as a brilliant CEO, admired for his discipline and vision. What few knew was that he was also a single father, carrying his own quiet grief after losing his wife years earlier. His days were divided between boardrooms and bedtime routines, spreadsheets and school lunches. Responsibility had etched lines of fatigue into his face, but tenderness lived in his actions, especially where his child was concerned. That morning, he arrived earlier than usual, noticing the woman cleaning his office with careful respect, as if every object deserved gentleness. Their lives brushed against each other in subtle ways at first. He observed her consistency, the way she never rushed, the dignity in her movements despite the uniform that rendered her invisible to most. She noticed his kindness toward the building staff, the absence of arrogance that often accompanied power. Neither spoke much, but a quiet understanding formed, born from shared loneliness and unspoken resilience. Over time, circumstances aligned, and he learned fragments of her story through others, enough to recognize the depth of her wounds without prying them open. One evening, as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, an unexpected opportunity emerged. The CEO, guided by instinct more than logic, offered her a chance to step into a different life, inviting her to leave behind the nights of cleaning floors and come with him into a role that promised stability and respect. It was not charity, but trust, an acknowledgement of her worth beyond labels and past judgments. Fear battled hope within her, but something in his sincerity made her believe that this was not another door waiting to be slammed shut. Transition was not easy. She stumbled through new routines, haunted by the belief that she did not belong in brighter spaces. Yet, she approached every task with the same care she had once given to empty offices, and slowly, confidence took root. The child, cautious at first, sensed her warmth, responding to her presence with curiosity that blossomed into affection. In nurturing that bond, she discovered parts of herself long buried under grief, realizing that motherhood was not confined to biology but expanded through love, patience, and choice. As seasons changed, so did her understanding of herself. The pain of rejection did not vanish, but it softened, reshaped by new purpose. She began to see her past not as a mark of failure but as a testament to endurance. The CEO, watching her grow into her strength, found healing of his own, learning that opening one's life to another carried risks worth taking. Together, without grand declarations, they built a home grounded in mutual respect and shared healing. Just before the ending of this story, we invite you to comment below and share what this journey made you feel, because your voice matters here. When the world once told her she was incomplete, she learned that completeness is defined not by what is missing, but by what we give and receive. The scars remained, but they no longer dictated her future. Standing in the warmth of a life rebuilt, she understood that being thrown out had not been the end, but the beginning of a path leading her to herself. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and engage with this video on Kindness Diaries, so more souls searching for hope can find it, and remember that sometimes, the greatest miracles begin the moment we are left with nothing but courage.